All right, guys. Common question that we get asked is what's a good egg and what's a bad egg? How do we separate those? How do we grade our eggs and or clean them? So I'm going to show you that today. We've already seen how we bring the eggs in from the houses to the collection room, pack on the trays and then on the rack. So now I'm going to explain exactly what we're doing. First of all, we have egg size. We're going to grade these eggs based on their size. So here you see we have a small, a medium, a large, and an extra large. This is a handy scale to use called the Jiffy Weigh, and it looks like a chicken. So I'm going to weigh these eggs just to show you exactly, roughly what they weigh, because some of them's not going to actually scale in. So first, the small egg. Don't even read. It's what we call a peewee. This is not going to be a good hatching egg. This egg will be a cull egg, and it will not go in a hatching rack. This next one is a medium. As you can see, we're going to be in the upper side of the medium, almost a large. This is going to be a good hatching egg. We look for the quality of shell. The shell quality is good. No cracks, breaks, nothing like that. This is going to be a good egg. Next, we have a large. To extra large. This egg is still going to be a good egg because we now are in a later part of the flock. So this egg, the eggs do get bigger and larger the further we get into the flock. So this egg's still going to be a good sendable, hatchable egg. Next, we have extra large, I would call it. It pegs out the scale. This is a double yolk, not sendable for a hatching egg. That egg will also be a cull. Then we look for several other items, and some of those items are as follows. Here you can see we have an egg that just simply has a hole in it. This egg was more than likely created a hole in by a toe of a chicken. Could have been a peck from a chicken, but we call these toe punches. As they're riding on the belt, sometimes their toes can come in and punch a hole in the egg. That's going to be a cull egg. This one's also an example of a toe punch, but it's also been crushed while it was riding on the belt. Blood stains are okay as long as they're not 3D. Extremely dirty eggs. We cannot clean by our integrator our eggs with any kind of water, soap, detergent, anything like that. We have to scrape these eggs with a paring knife. We pick these up for $1 at the dollar store, and we'll simply scrape the dirt, litter, things like that off the eggs. But this one is a excessively dirty egg, so it's also going to be a cull. Now, I hope that you can see this. This egg is misshapen. You see that flat spot in it right in here? It's actually got a circular flat spot right there. That egg is also no good, not hatchable. This egg also has a flat spot and wrinkles. It's not a hatchable egg. Now, the two more interesting eggs that I have here. They look fine on camera, but watch this. Soft shells. Soft shells are not a hatchable egg. We cannot hatch this. This is a soft shell, but we also, I don't have any right now, but we also have membrane eggs. And those are actually just the membrane with no shell on them at all. And it'll have a yolk and just the membrane. So they're a non-hatchable egg. This one's no good. This one has a harder soft shell on it. It's kind of crunchy, but you can see when they're that soft, they do have a tendency to bust very easily. So we don't even cull these. These will go into our compost pile because they are absolutely no good. They slide in the rack, so we don't use them at all. So here you can kind of tell some of our cull eggs that we have. We put them on a rack, and they do use these eggs, just not for hatching. This is a pretty good example of a flat of good hatchable eggs. We make sure that the eggs are turned right side up, meaning the pointy side goes down, the larger, rounder top goes up. Where that top portion of this egg, there's actually an air gap up here. We want that air gap up top. We don't want our eggs flipped up with the air on the bottom. So we make sure all of them's up. They're all clean. They're all roughly the same size. All of good quality, good egg shell quality, and good color. A very white egg with this breed of chicken means they're going to have a calcium deficiency, and that's also not a good egg. The whiter the egg, typically, the more likely that egg is to break. So I thought that was a little interesting fact for you. Now, what do we do with all these eggs? Good question. Let me walk you into the cooler here and we'll take a look. So I'm in the cooler now, and what we're going to do with these eggs from this point is we have an area for hatching eggs. We'll fill these carts all the way up. This cart, buggy as some people calls it, holds 4,860 eggs. We'll fill these carts or buggies up. We'll write our farm number on it, the date that these eggs was hatched, and which house they come out of. The side that I'm on right now is going to be house 2's side. The other side of the cooler is going to be house 1's. We keep them separated in case there's any problem with hatch or some sort of a bacteria. We know what house that they come out of, so we can trace that down and get it fixed. We'll keep filling these racks up until we have a load. Now, our egg truck runs on Tuesdays and Fridays. So every Tuesday morning and every Friday morning, we're going to ship a load of eggs. They come in with a 53-foot tractor trailer, and they load them themselves. They take them to the hatchery, and there they'll be hatched. 21 days later, after they're put in the setter, they're going to go into a broiler house for meat chickens. Over here in this corner, we have a rack set aside just for those cull eggs, those dirty eggs, cracks, breaks, toe punches, double yolks, 2 smalls. All of those are going to go on one separate rack. Both houses goes on this rack, but we keep them separate away from everything else. This rack also has a specific spot in this egg room. The reason why we do that is if any eggs were bad, bust, or anything like that, this area is the only area that's going to be contaminated through the entire flock. When we pull this rack out, which is once a week, we're going to clean any broken or leaking eggs, and then we're going to push another rack right back in its place. It never moves. Notice it's right up above our one of our mini split units. And the reason why we do that is we didn't want airflow flowing around on all our good hatching eggs. So this is a really good spot because it's a direct blow from heat or air, either one. So this is a good spot for a rack. Typically, and you can see here, we don't have many coals on here right now. Typically speaking, we'll have about a rack. That's 4,860 eggs. We'll have about a rack for each house. So technically speaking, we'll have half a rack for house one, half a rack for house two, but we place them all on this rack. But typically speaking, we'll have one full rack per week versus about 28 to 34 full racks of hatching eggs. So our rate of hatching versus cull eggs, we try to keep that at a minimum. Now what we do is we typically take somewhat of a, sometimes it's an educated guess, sometimes it's not. Those soft shells and wrinkles and things like that, it's going to let me know what's going on in the chicken's diet. So soft shells, when we get a higher number of those, I'm going to know I'm going to have to start running some vitamin D, get their vitamin D up, and that gives me a better shell quality, a little harder shell, and it typically only happens during the winter months. For us, you get less natural sunlight coming into the houses, and at that point our flock is a little older. So coming into the winter time, I really watch how many soft shells I have coming out, and when I hit a pretty high number of 0.5%, 0.6% to 0.8 or 1% even, I'm going to go ahead and start running vitamin D for 3 to 5 days through my watering system so I can get my shell quality back up. We also keep tabs every day of how many eggs come out of each house. So we know exactly what's going on. Do we need to give them more feed? Do they need less feed? What's going on? Is there something, airspeed or ammonia levels? What's causing this chicken to lose production or gain production? Another common question is, how many eggs do you get a day? Right now, we're at 48 weeks, so I'm going to back you up. When we get chickens, they're 20 weeks old. They're what we consider a pullet. Those pullets come in anywhere from 4.8 pounds to about 5.2, depending on how they was grown and what breed they are. Now, from that point, we're going to get these chickens and we're going to stimulate them with light. And we're going to give them a sequence of light every day. They're going to get that light. They're going to start increasing in feed. We're going to increase their feed every day until they're about 22 weeks old. They're still a pullet. When we get them increased, then we're going to start giving them light increases. And we're going to increase that light, we're going to increase feed, and then we're going to start seeing them lay. At that point, when they start laying, you'll see 1, 2, 3 eggs a day on the belts. If you get 3 eggs, you're going to double the next day, 6, and then 12, 24, and so on. We're going to do that until we hit what we call peak production. And this flock, with the breed of chicken that we had, our peak production was a little over 11,000 eggs per house per day. And once we hit that peak, we hit them on peak feed, and we're going to hold them there for a little while to see when we need to cut our feed. Eggs start dropping a little bit, we start backing off feed. We weigh the chickens every week to make sure that they're not grossly overweight or underweight, and we go from there. At that point, we're going to continue to watch these eggs drop off. We're going to keep these chickens until they're roughly 65 weeks old, and that's about the duration of what they're going to lay. So the majority of these chickens this year was, our production number was 86%. So we peaked 86%. So 86% of those hens that are in the houses laid an egg every day, and they're going to drop off. So right now at 48 weeks old, we're in the 71 to 72% range. We're going to drop 1% to 1.5% every week from this point on until chickens go out. Egg room temperature is another thing that we get asked a lot around our area. How cold do you keep the eggs? We don't keep them cold. This cooler is set at 70 degrees, and we have a few ways that we check that. As you can see right above my head, there's this cable. That's a temperature sensor that runs back to my computer on my Rotom and tells me what the temperature is inside the house. We also have the 2 mini split units, and we have a thermometer inside here as well. It's reading 3 degrees off. And then on top of that, we want to know what the actual core temperature of that egg is in a liquid state. So what we have here is a simple jug of water, 1 gallon of water with a thermometer stuck in it. This is going to give us a rough core temperature. If I can stay at that temperature, 70 degrees, inside my jug, inside here, with my stir fans going, we can take a infrared temperature gun, anything that we want to, and we should read 70 degrees anywhere inside this building. The floors, the walls, the ceiling, everything should be 70 degrees from top to bottom, side to side. Bottom line, we want the best quality product sent. When they come out of the collection room, they immediately come into the cooler. This cooler at 70 degrees, they're going to stay here until the truck comes. At that point, they're going on a reefer truck at 70 degrees. When they get off the truck, they're going in a room at 70 degrees until they're going into the setter. And at that point, they're going to heat it up to a temperature and a humidity that's going to be optimal for hatchability. Right now, our hatching rate is in the high 80s, low 90s, and we would like to keep it that way. And one way we do that is making sure we don't heat up or cool off our eggs. So when we load these eggs on the rack, we load them left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right. That ensures, and as we're working up, that all the heat, as it rises, we're keeping these eggs cooler and not warming them back up. And that's going to make a good hatching egg. All right, guys, I'm going to leave now. I hope you found the video interesting. Maybe you learned a little something. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow our channel. Thank you.